You know, first impressions mean the most when it comes to securing a job, and oftentimes that resume shows up before you do. So Randy Wooden is the director of the Professional Center at Goodwill Industries in Northwest North Carolina. And Randy, you see a lot of resumes, and you're actually kind of in the middle of a series on how to get people to kind of make them the best they can be.
I do. It's a 4-part series. It runs in the Journal, and
you got another part coming up. Is it this Sunday?
This Sunday.
Okay.
It's the single most talked about topic is, hey, what does a good resume look like? How can it? And the answer is always, it depends.
Okay, see, it depends on the person, I guess, and the job, right?
Well, it does. And here's the thing. There are 2 kinds of resume. Actually, I could argue there are 3 kinds, but 2 kinds primarily. One is the standard chronological resume.
Okay.
It's what most people use.
Dates and
most
things like
recent job, then job, then job, and work back. But what if you're not that round peg in a round hole? You would be a great example for a chronological resume.
Okay.
If
I think so.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you wanted to keep doing what you do and go somewhere else, it reads easily. They can see what you've done most recently is relevant. What if, use me as an example, I'm an old radio DJ. I was told at an early age that I had a face for radio.
For radio, I've heard that before.
Yeah. And so I went that direction. Anyway.
It was a big success too.
Yeah, I did that. But now I don't put it on my resume because A, it makes me look older, and we'll talk about how far back to go in a moment, but also it's not relevant.
Okay.
The work I do for Goodwill is helping professionals with career changes. So yes, I have communication skills I use, I have to market our services, so there are those elements, but I would go to a functional resume where I'm highlighting my functions, the transferable skills.
What you do and how that works with other skills, right? Is that
correct?
That
yeah, and the third version of that is sort of having 2 chronological silos, and that's more detail that we can get into right now. But just know that all resumes, you have to customize them. You've got to be aware of how far back do you go, and that's another question that comes up, especially for workers that are maybe over 45, over 50, and they feel like, you know, is age a concern? Yeah, how far back? And there's not a hard and fast rule, but generally about 15 years makes sense. Bear in mind, if your oldest job, as I'm reading the resume, says director of, I know you've left things out. And so you may want to have another little section that just lists additional titles. So that's kind of important. But if you look at, again, my radio experience, which was in the 80s and early 90s, I've got to find a way to get that up on the top of the resume below the summary. Think of your resume and your experience as a deck of playing cards. You've got red and black and you shuffle them all up. If the employer says, I just want red face cards, and I hand you the entire deck of cards, it's in there.
I got to go through everything.
Right.
Okay.
And in the reality, in the real world today, one of 2 things will happen. Either software looks at your resume and scans for relevance, so you've got to incorporate the keywords, and that goes back to the customizing, or somebody like me, buried in work, has 10, 15 seconds at most to look at your resume and see, is there something in there that catches my eye? Okay. And if there isn't, and you go lazy with a one-size-fits-all, chances are you're going to get overlooked.
And you're going to get missed.
Well, yeah, and the sad thing is, Brad, you could do the job, but if you haven't taken the time to show me the keywords that tell me you've been in the room when it's been going on, and you haven't taken the time to show accomplishments, you lose. Okay. So you've got to customize your resume every time out. I know it takes time, but you got to do it.
Listen, thank you for giving us kind of the push in the right direction. And again, that the last part of that, or the third part of that, is going to be this coming Sunday in the Journal,
This coming Sunday, and a 4th one, and I'll figure out what to write about. Okay. The Friday before.
But figure out and get that resume updated, right?
Yeah, you need. And if you need help, we do it for free to help you, and just whatever it takes.
Okay. Tom?